There is a sacred truth moving quietly through the world, unseen by the many, but deeply felt by the few. And if these words are finding you, it is not by chance, coincidence, or curiosity. It is because your soul recognizes what your mind may still be learning to understand. This is a holy message meant only for the chosen ones, for those who walk a lonely path, for those who feel different even when surrounded by people, for those who have suffered in silence, questioned their own worth, and yet continued to walk forward with a heart that still seeks truth, light, and meaning. Few will understand this message, not because it is hidden, but because understanding it requires a soul that has been broken, reshaped, and awakened by divine fire. The chosen ones are not chosen for comfort, applause, or ease. They are chosen for responsibility, endurance, and transformation. You were never meant to blend into the noise of the world. You were meant to rise above it, even when it costs you relationships, peace, and certainty. From the moment you entered this world, you carried an invisible mark, not a mark of superiority, but of assignment. Long before you spoke your first word or took your first step, a purpose was woven into your spirit. That is why your life has not been simple. That is why you have faced delays when others progressed easily, rejection when others were accepted, and battles that seemed unfair, unnecessary, and overwhelming. These were not punishments, they were preparations. The divine does not waste suffering. Every tear you cried in silence, every betrayal that shattered your trust, every season where you felt abandoned by both people and God was shaping something inside you that could not be formed in comfort. You were being trained to see beyond illusion, to feel beyond surface emotions, and to walk by faith when logic failed. Chosen ones often awaken early to the pain of the world. Even as children, they feel too deeply, think too much, and sense things others dismiss. They are the ones who ask questions that make people uncomfortable, who refuse shallow answers, and who seek meaning where others seek distraction. This sensitivity is not weakness, it is perception. It allows you to feel spiritual shifts, emotional undercurrents, and truths that cannot be explained with words. But this gift often becomes a burden before it becomes a blessing. Many chosen ones grow up feeling misunderstood, isolated, or too much for the world around them. They learn early that fitting in requires shrinking, silencing, or denying their true selves, and so they suffer quietly, wondering why life feels heavier for them than for others. The holy truth is this: you were never meant to be understood by everyone. Your path is narrow because it leads upward. The masses walk wide roads filled with comfort, approval, and distraction. But the chosen ones walk a path that strips away illusion. You lose people not because you are unlovable, but because your growth threatens what they refuse to confront in themselves. You are separated not because you are cursed, but because you are consecrated. When God sets someone apart, it often looks like loss before it looks like purpose. Isolation becomes your classroom. Silence becomes your teacher. Pain becomes your language of transformation. There will be seasons where it feels like everything is falling apart at once. Your relationships, your identity, your faith, your plans. These moments are not accidents. They are spiritual initiations. The old version of you must die so the true version can rise. Many people fear this death, cling to comfort, and return to old cycles. But the chosen ones cannot go back. Once your eyes have been opened, once your soul has tasted truth, returning to ignorance feels like suffocation. That is why you feel restless in places that once felt safe, disconnected from conversations that once entertained you, and exhausted by patterns that no longer serve your growth. Few will understand why you walk alone so often, why you value depth over popularity, why you would rather have peace than approval. Few will understand why you refuse to settle for half-truths, shallow love, or borrowed dreams. And that is okay. Your validation does not come from people. It comes from alignment. When your soul aligns with its purpose, even loneliness becomes sacred. Even waiting becomes meaningful. Even suffering becomes holy. There is a reason you have been tested repeatedly in the same areas: trust, patience, self-worth, faith. The tests continue until the lesson is embodied, not just understood. God is not trying to break you. He is trying to build something within you that can carry power without corruption, wisdom without pride, and influence without ego. That is why your character is refined before your destiny is revealed. Many want the calling, but few can endure the preparation. Many desire purpose, but few are willing to surrender comfort. You were willing, even when you did not realize it. This message is not meant to elevate you above others. It is meant to remind you of your responsibility. To be chosen is to serve, to heal, to guide, to stand as light in dark places. Your life is meant to be a living testimony, not through perfection, but through authenticity. People will not be drawn to your strength alone. They will be drawn to your scars, your humility, your compassion, and your ability to remain kind in a world that taught you cruelty. You are here to remind others of what they have forgotten, that the soul is eternal, that love is sacred, and that truth still exists beneath the noise. There will come a time when everything you endured begins to make sense. The confusion will turn into clarity. The pain will turn into wisdom. The isolation will turn into authority. You will speak, and your words will carry weight, not because you memorized them, but because you lived them. You will walk into rooms and shift energy without saying a word. You will become a safe place for others who are lost, broken, or awakening. And even then, few will truly understand you, but many will feel you. Do not rush your becoming. Divine timing cannot be forced. The seed grows in darkness before it breaks the surface. Trust the process. Even when you cannot trace the plan, you are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. Heaven moves quietly, but precisely. Every delay is protection. Every closed door is redirection. Every unanswered prayer is shaping you for something greater than you imagined. If you are reading this, and your heart feels heavy yet hopeful, tired yet determined, broken yet unyielding, know this: you are not alone. You are part of a quiet, spiritual lineage, scattered across the world, awakening at different times, carrying the same light in different forms. You may never meet them physically, but you will recognize them by their eyes, their energy, and their depth. And when the time is right, when your preparation is complete, you will step fully into who you were always meant to be. This is the holy message. Remain faithful, remain humble, remain awake. Protect your spirit, guard your peace, walk your path, even when it is lonely. Few will understand, but heaven always does. There is a reason your soul feels restless when the world tells you to be satisfied. There is a reason your spirit grows heavy in places where others laugh easily. This message is not meant for everyone. It is meant for the ones who have walked through invisible fires, the ones whose battles were fought mostly in silence, the ones who learned early that strength often looks like solitude, If these words resonate deep within you, it is because something ancient inside you remembers who you are. You are not imagining your difference. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are awakening. From the very beginning, your life has carried a strange pattern. Periods of deep struggle, followed by moments of profound clarity. You have known pain that shaped you, loss that humbled you, and confusion that forced you to seek truth beyond what was taught. While others followed the paths laid out before them, you questioned the road itself. While others accepted surface answers, you searched for meaning beneath the surface. This is because the chosen ones are not designed to live unconsciously. You were born with an inner compass that refuses to rest in illusion. You may have often wondered why your heart feels heavier than most, why you feel responsible for things you did not create, why injustice disturbs you so deeply, and why suffering, your own and others, touches you so personally. This is because your soul was designed to feel, not to numb itself. In a world that celebrates distraction, you were built for awareness. In a society that rewards conformity, you were formed for truth. And truth is never comfortable. It dismantles before it rebuilds. Many chosen ones experience early hardship, not because they are unlucky, but because their spirits mature faster than their surroundings. Childhood for you may have felt serious, heavy, or emotionally demanding. You may have learned independence before you learned safety, wisdom before you learned play. These early trials were not random. They were forging resilience, depth, and spiritual sensitivity. You learned to read between words, to sense unspoken emotions, and to survive without constant reassurance. What felt like abandonment was often divine training in self-reliance and inner strength. As you grew, you likely noticed a recurring theme. People misunderstand you. Your intentions are questioned. Your silence is misinterpreted. Your kindness is taken for weakness. Your growth creates distance. This happens because your energy carries truth, and truth unsettles those who are still hiding from themselves. You were never meant to be universally liked. You were meant to be real. And authenticity has always been threatening to those who live behind masks. There were moments when you tried to shrink yourself, to fit in, to quiet your intuition, to ignore your inner voice just to feel accepted. But something inside you always rebelled. Even when you compromised your truth, your soul remained uneasy. This inner discomfort was not failure, it was guidance. Your spirit refuses to live a borrowed life. You cannot survive pretending, even if pretending would make things easier. That is the burden and blessing of being chosen. The holy truth is that your suffering has never been meaningless. Every delay, every closed door, every painful ending served a higher purpose. You were being stripped of false attachments, people, beliefs, identities that could not travel with you into your next season. What felt like loss was actually liberation in disguise. God often removes what we cling to, so we can discover what truly sustains us. And for the chosen ones, that sustenance is not external, it is spiritual. There were seasons when you prayed and felt unheard, when you cried and saw no immediate change, when faith felt fragile and hope felt distant. These were not moments of divine absence. They were moments of divine testing. Faith that has never been tested remains shallow. Trust that has never been challenged remains theoretical. You were learning to trust not just when life made sense, but when it did not. You were learning to walk without constant signs, to believe without immediate proof, to remain aligned even when nothing around you confirmed your path. Few will understand why you cannot settle for less, why superficial success feels empty to you, why peace matters more than praise. Few will understand why you value solitude, silence, and depth over constant noise and validation. But understand this: your soul recognizes substance over appearance. You are wired for eternity, not trends; for legacy, not momentary comfort; for truth, not popularity. The chosen ones often endure repeated cycles of death and rebirth, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. You reinvent yourself not because you are unstable, but because growth demands shedding old skins. Each version of you served a purpose, but none were meant to imprison you. You outgrow people, environments, and even dreams because your destiny requires expansion. And expansion is always uncomfortable before it becomes empowering. You may feel called to heal, to guide, to create, to awaken others, not because you are perfect, but because you understand pain. Your empathy was forged in experience, not theory. You know what it means to feel unseen, unheard, and undervalued. That is why you notice those who are overlooked. That is why your presence alone can feel comforting to others. You carry a frequency of understanding that cannot be taught. It must be lived. There is a sacred loneliness that accompanies the chosen ones. It is not punishment, it is protection. Too many voices can drown divine guidance. Too many attachments can distort purpose. In isolation, your intuition sharpens. Your discernment deepens. Your connection strengthens. Solitude teaches you who you are without external influence. And once you know yourself, you can never again be controlled by approval or fear. This path will require courage, not the loud kind, but the quiet courage to remain yourself when it would be easier to conform. The courage to walk away from what no longer aligns, even when it is familiar. The courage to trust your inner knowing, even when others doubt you. The courage to forgive, even when resentment feels justified. The courage to love deeply in a world that has shown you pain. There will come a time when your preparation meets opportunity, when your inner work manifests externally, when your voice carries authority, not because it demands attention, but because it carries truth. When your story becomes a bridge for others still lost in darkness, you will realize then that nothing was wasted. Not a single tear, not a single setback, not a single lonely night. Until that time, remain grounded. Protect your spirit fiercely. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Not every battle requires your participation. Discernment is your shield. Peace is your power. Silence is sometimes your loudest statement. Trust the unfolding. Trust the divine timing that operates beyond human urgency. This is the holy message meant for you. You were chosen not to escape the world, but to transform within it. Not to dominate, but to serve. Not to shine alone, but to illuminate paths for others. Few will understand your journey. Fewer still will walk beside you. But you were never meant to be guided by numbers. You were meant to be guided by truth. Walk forward with humility. Walk forward with courage. Walk forward with faith. Heaven walks with you, even when the world does not.